Hello, and welcome to SongWriters Spotlight, the Western Mass Songwriters Collaborative Series. I'm Dr. Dan, your host of the show, where we feature Western Mass songwriters who perform their original songs and talk about the art of songwriting. Stay tuned to explore more about music and the tunesmithing that creates it. Our featured songwriter on this episode is Clarke, who has performed for years in concert and at festivals and recorded numerous CDs. She is joined by LeBlanc, a terrific instrumentalist and harmonizer.
Well, this is a song that Larry and I have been doing for a while, and it's a song of mine, and then we added a little blackberry blossom onto the front of it, so I will do this one for you. It's called Hard Rain. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Black dust in this town. I'm like dust in this town. It's dragging me down. Black dust, black dust, black dust in this town. Everywhere I look, it's black dust all around. For a sign that'll show me the light, and looking for the lighthouse is shining so bright. And one day I'll wake up and rise with the sun. No more held that hard rain when the day's work is done. Hard rain, hard rain, hard rain in this town. Hard rain in this town. It's dragging me down. Hard rain, hard rain, hard rain in this town. That was written probably when I moved to Massachusetts about 20 years ago, and this is a much more recent one. Let me get my cape open. This is a much more recent one that I wrote for my husband, just a little love song. So it's good to have little love songs. And this one is called September. One, 2, 3. Oh, the sweet golden days of September only last for a short fleeting time, and their passing calls me to remember how we loved and were idle a while. Oh, the winds, they will blow on our memories away, and the frost from the trees take their splendor. But today we lie fresh in the grass, sweetly dressed in the soft golden light of September. When I reach for your hand, I can sift through the sand to the time we were wild on the mountain. Though the years have rolled by, the same stars are in your eyes, and our story's a tale worth recounting. Summer birds leave the trees, autumn smoke in the breeze, pluck the last of the gay purple asters. Dearest love, in your face I can still feel the grace of our first golden days in September. Smoke in the breeze, pluck the last of the gay purple asters. Dearest love, in your face I can still feel the grace of our first golden days in September. Dearest love, in your face I can still feel the grace of our first golden days in September. All right, good. Well, I'll do a little intro to this song. So this is a tune I wrote for my grandparents who lived on Muddy Creek Road in Cincinnati, Ohio. And so the title of this tune, of course, is Muddy Creek Road. My grandpa's a railroad man, lives his life the best he can. Takes me out to the big backyard. We play catch, yours throws too hard. My grandma's a sight to see, cutting up chairs by the willow tree, in a homemade dress with the little white flowers. How I love to spend those long hot hours. It's nigh on summer and the crickets sing. Count the fireflies from the old porch swing. Learn about life from the stories they told. Just wishing on the stars back at Muddy Creek Road. Where we grew up fast and we moved far away. We always come back for a summer stay. Think of those times when it seemed enough to have your family close and your kitchen full of love. It's nigh on summer and the crickets sing. fireflies from the old porch swing. Learn about life from the stories they told. Just wishing on the stars back at Muddy Creek Road. She got too old to make pie. Gramps just seemed like he was always tired. Go visit on Sunday at the old folks' home. I'd leave there feeling sad and low. Well, I went to the chapel and what did I see? Coming for to carry them home to me. Horse and buggy with ribbons and flowers. Voices singing with the gospel power. Sang, swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. They sang, swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. It's nigh on summer, the crickets still sing. I think of those times from my own porch swing. Still learn about life and learn about love. Still wishing on the beautiful stars up above. Still learn about life and learn about love. Still wishing on the beautiful stars up above. Still learn about life as I shoulder my load. I think back to those days at Muddy Creek Road. Well, so this next song is a song that I wrote some time ago, but it didn't really see the light of day until I did a record a few years ago that is just finally out, and liked it so much the way it came out that we put it on first, and this is called Slenderest Thread. As Larry likes to say, it's the closest thing we do to rock and roll.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes we hang on by the slenderest thread. Stay up all night and in the morning lay in bed. Do what you want, but you can't change blue to red. Sometimes we hang on by the slenderest thread. The kitchen's on fire, but the rent is paid ahead. I tell you one more time, but you won't believe a word I said. I'd rather take a fast car, baby, but I'll ride this mule instead. Sometimes we hang on by the slenderest thread. Early in the morning, rising with the sun, and break the world wide open with the work I have done. Barely hanging on, but I know I'm not dead. Sometimes we hang on by the slenderest thread. working up the spit and shine to try to stay ahead. Feel the weight of this cold world in every step I tread. Joy will come on back in our own good time, it's said. Sometimes we hang on by the slenderest thread. Early in the morning, rising with the sun and break the world wide open with the work I have done. Barely hanging on, but I know I'm not dead. Sometimes we hang on by the slenderest thread. Sometimes we hang on by the slenderest thread. So this is a song. It's one of my older songs, but one of my favorites actually. And I wrote it for Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash right after Johnny died. Johnny died about a year and a half after June died, and I love their love story, and so wrote this song called June. Think of you once in a while. The blue moon is coming round soon. See you back then and I'll smile. Did he fall back one more time? Darkness. But June, he'd walk in that room and he'd come on back round to his fullness. Tour bus and the wildwood flower. The man in black, you caught your eye soon, but he never had a satisfied hour. Did you fall back each time he reached darkness? But June, when it came to high noon, he walked away the survivor. Did you fall back together one last time to darkness? ring of fire. So this is a tune that I wrote that is very place specific. And I was driving home one beautiful summer's evening after playing at the Green River Festival, which is a lovely festival that we have around here. And I was on Xerofisk Road, which is, I like to call that area the West County line. For some reason, it seems like it's the line that divides Franklin County and the sort of western part of it from there on. And there's just a beautiful view that I love there. And so came home and wrote this song called The West County Line. 1, 2, 3. Never did see such a sight in my life as the blue on the hills on a warm country night. You might be as dark as a glass of red wine, but your soul will get right out on the West County line. There are some things a woman can see, some things I know that you see in me. Now it's time for this living so small to take a bow, 'cause this road's headed straight into the sun anyhow. West County line looks so lovely and right. She's a deep shade of blue in the shadows tonight. Might go drink whiskey, call up a song. Might do some right and I might do some wrong. When I'm gone, my freed soul will still be the West County wind and the West County cheese. West County line looks so lovely and right. She's a deep shade of blue in the shadows tonight. Might go drink whiskey, call up a song. Might do some right and I might do some wrong. When I'm gone, my freed soul will still be the West County wind and the West County cheese. The West County wind and the West County cheese. The West County wind, the West County cheese.
Well, Katie, that was a great set. I really enjoyed the music. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and thanks to Larry. That was a terrific instrument and harmonies as well.
Yeah,
Very enjoyable.
Very, very lucky to play with Larry. Yeah.
Nothing like it. Have good backup.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
So, so these were wonderful songs. When did you start writing songs?
Well, I was thinking about this, and I guess I started writing songs, although they weren't really songs. They were more like poems, but there was music involved in my head, probably in late high school or college. But I wasn't really playing an instrument, so I didn't really have anywhere to go with them. And then I started playing guitar, and by around 30, I would say I started writing songs, and most of them weren't really any good, but they got better, and I really just enjoyed the process. And then I moved from California to Massachusetts, and I just had this big songwriting spurt where a lot of songs came, and a bunch of them I really liked and kept, and started playing with other folks and performing, and so that's kind of, it just happened organically, I guess.
Like it's in the air, huh? Sometimes it feels that way.
Yes, yeah. And I know that there's a lot of amazing songwriters who have a lot of protocols and a lot of that. I'm just not one of those people. It seems like it's something that has a more organic process for me that does feel a little bit like the old Whitman thing about dictation, as I'm taking dictation as opposed to I'm really involved in, I'm setting out to write a song and this is the topic, and that's just not I don't think I have the patience for that, honestly, the way some people do. Some people really make it a craft.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but your songs sound well edited. I mean, they don't sound totally spontaneous. It sounds like you work them over.
There's a process for sure. There's a process for sure, and I've gotten some good help from other songwriters and folks a bit as well too. But for the most part, they do tend to come fairly well fleshed out. There might be a little something missing or some phrases to add or change, but. Yeah, for the most part, it seems, especially the good ones, they tend to come, and I'll get done with them in sometimes a day or two, and sometimes maybe a week or two. But I don't labor over songs, I guess I would say.
Interesting. Well, what songwriters have inspired you to help you to get a hold of this muse that you're reaching out for?
Yeah. Well. Oh gosh, there could be a really long list here, but I would say the people when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about, some of the songwriters whose work I admire the most are when I was really learning to sing and learning to write songs and to perform and all of that. That was really mostly in the 90s, and that was a time when a lot of who I was listening to, so it was like Townes Van Zandt, Nancy Griffith, Gillian Welch, Kate Wolf, and there's people like Steve Earle. It's all like a sort of Americana and folk people who, I look back on that and it's like, boy, learning those people's songs so I could sing them, at parties or just sing them with other people. I had a wonderful singing partner where we did some performing, but we just did a lot of working up material. And also the Indigo Girls. I had another friend who we just loved to play Indigo Girls songs, and so we worked up all these parts, and we learned the songs. And I think that osmosis kind of happens when you really kind of are deep into good songwriting. You learn some things without thinking too much about it, hopefully. At least I feel like that's what happened for me. And then I think about it some of the tunes that I've written are more obviously influenced by this artist or that artist, or it's something I think they would have liked, or, you know, it's sort of in that neighborhood, kind of, I would say. So I think those are some of the people whose work, and then there's also, you know, amazing women country singers like, and songwriters like Dolly Parton and Loretta Lynn, and I just love that old country music, and so some of that has been influential, I think, too. Yeah.
Well, there's definitely a lot of roots in your music that really comes through. So I see what you're saying. Yeah. So, are there some topics that you write about that inspire you more than others, or are there some topics you like to go back to?
Well, it appears that a great deal of my songs somehow get tied into the seasons and the passing of time and sort of those kinds of themes. There's a lot. As a matter of fact, the CD that I just put out is called Season of My Time, which is the title of a song that actually didn't make it on that record. But I love that song, and I love that. I love that. Just that name seemed right for the vibe of the CD, and a lot of the songs I do have themes that have to do with seasons. Larry was just kind of joking a little while ago and saying, we've got a song called September, a song called June. You know, I should write a song for all the other months. But all joking aside, I think there is something to, for me, a lot of my songs have been written outdoors, in my head while walking or hiking, or just sometimes out in my screen house, in the yard, sometimes driving. But I think there's something about being out of doors or in the open that allows me to write. And then so often those kinds of themes, there's a lot about being healed by nature that seems to come out in my songs also. Yeah, so I'd say there's that, and you know, the good old themes of love and loss. I have a lot of Irish in me, and so, you know, love and loss, you can't get too far from those things. Yeah.
They're ready made. So you take a walk, you write a song, get home, pick up your guitar, and write it all down?
Sometimes it's more like I run to the car and I write on the back of a map or anything else that napkin or anything, and I hope to God that there's a pen somewhere. I got to the point where I always made sure that I kept pen in the car, because things go so fast if you don't get them, at least for me. And yeah, this was like the days before I always had a cell phone in my pocket, and nowadays you know, when I'm out in the woods, I might not always have a cell phone with me. And so, you know, for me, it's having those things come and hearing the music at the same time, and then just sometimes you got to just run like heck to wherever you can write it down. I've had it happen also where something came up when I was driving, and I just pulled over and wrote most of the song, if not the whole thing, came at that point too. So. Yeah.
That's a very interesting process. Would it be fair to say that you write songs because they come to you and you feel you have to capture them? Is that? That's an interesting way of putting it, and I would say that feels true. Mm-hmm. I would say that feels true because, again, I'm not like a pursuer of songs, and maybe I should be. If this were how I made my money in my career, I probably would darn well have to be, and so I can afford to be kind of a lazy songwriter because it's not how I make a living. Mm-hmm. And if I really, you know, was somebody who was in that realm of where I had to make my living by my art, I'm sure it'd be a whole nother story, you know. But the way it goes for me is more about that sort of feeling of taking dictation of whatever's coming through.
Yeah.
So it's out there. You got to capture it and
Yeah.
put it down
Yeah.
on paper and
Yeah.
in the airwaves.
Yeah.
When you think about other songwriters, particularly songwriters starting out,
Yeah.
what suggestions or advice do you have for them?
Oh gosh. Well, I would say particularly if you're a female, write and keep writing and don't give up. And being a female songwriter, even though there's a lot more spotlight on female songwriters, and in the folk world, there's more of that. I think it's still a harder thing. I think nobody ever told me, hey, you could be a songwriter. And nobody ever really told me, hey, you could front a band. I figured those things out myself, and I did that. So I would say, especially, to young women, just do it. You can do it, and there's no reason why you can't. And if it's something that you feel and you love, make it happen and make the time and learn whatever instrument is going to help you write, and surround yourself with people who believe in you and are going to be really good mentors to you. I've had some really wonderful, I was on a group for 6 or 7 years with 2 other women who are dear friends, and we had a wonderful, wonderful time. They're still playing together as the Boxcar Lilies, and I was part of that trio. And they, I think in a lot of different ways, I learned a lot from them. So surround yourself with other people who are writers, who play instruments, and who do this seriously. That would be my advice to anybody, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you ever been a member of a songwriting group or?
Yeah, well, I'm in this little songwriting salon that continues to this day with those 2 folks and a couple of other wonderful, wonderful songwriters that we know, and we meet once a month. People bring material. You don't always have to have material, but I also hosted a songwriters sort of salon at my house for some years as well. So I figured it was easier if people were coming to me, and invited other songwriters whose work I really liked. And it's wonderful to do that. It's wonderful to do that.
Have you collaborated with other songwriters to put together a song?
Yes, and not as much as I would like to. That's still something I would love to do. But when I was in the Boxcar Lilies, we did some of that. Most notably, one song that we were going to record, and we went into the recording studio, and we were literally at the last minute changing lines and working on things together. And it was really cool because it was actually Jenny Goodspeed's brother who wrote this beautiful song that we decided to do. And we just felt like it needed some tweaks and some different things. So Jenny and I were working on it kind of right up to before recording it. So that was really fun. But we did a lot of, we did some really enjoyable work together in that way. And that's something I would love to do more of.
That sounds exciting. Absolutely. Yeah. Anything else you want to share with the audience about songwriting or your music?
Gosh. Well, I would say, one hope that I would have about, people sometimes say, well, what do you hope to accomplish? And I love making CDs. I really enjoyed the recording process. I made 2 CDs with a trio and then a group that I fronted, and then 3 with the Boxcar Lilies, and the 1 recently of my own solo CD with a bunch of other musicians on, including Larry. But to me, just the process of going through recording is so creative and fun. And that's something that I hope anybody who has some time, resources, tools, wants to learn about and do should do, because it's an extraordinary, fun, creative process. And it's a wonderful journey to do recording. So that's something I would say I've been incredibly fortunate to do. I've worked with a couple of just wonderful wonderful engineers and producers through the process. And it's just, one of the most fun things in the world.
And a lot of work.
Yes,
Yes.
it is work, but to me, that's fun work,
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Katie, thank you so much for sharing your music and your thoughts. Some really interesting insights and perspectives that you provided to us. And I know our listeners are going to enjoy it very much. So,
Well, thank you so much for having me on.
thank you.
All right.
Thanks for watching our show. I would like to acknowledge the support of the Western Mass Songwriters Collaborative, promoting the original music scene in Western Massachusetts. If you want to learn more about the WMSC, go to their Facebook page. Thanks for watching. I'm Dr. Dan. I hope you'll tune in again for the show that puts a spotlight on songwriters.